Hi everybody, welcome to Kalinting Read, where we talk about books in the horror genre or at least horror adjacent. My name is Dimas and I am your host. Today's episode is quite a special one because I'm going to be reviewing an indie or self-published book. This indie book in question is called Scratches by Joshua Marsella. Now, I love discovering new authors, especially indie or self-published authors, because oftentimes they have stories, ideas, or styles that I don't find a lot in mainstream books. And because they write and publish their stories on their own terms, their work is oftentimes more personal. Their themes do not always follow what's popular, or at least they execute their ideas differently. As a reader, I want to be exposed to various kinds of ideas and perspectives. I want to see different ways of storytelling. For some reason, I don't want to feel dictated by the mainstream crowd on what we should consider as a good way to tell a story. I want to be able to enjoy as many writing styles as possible and find some hidden gems that I can treasure and then spread the word out to the people who I think might enjoy these stories. Many works by indie creators have gone on to be embraced by the mainstream. So for me, it is always exciting when I read an amazing indie or self-published book and imagining that I'm probably one of the first people who have read the book before it blows up and becomes popular. Scratches by Joshua Marsella is a horror novella that was published in 2020. It tells us about Connor, a 12-year-old boy who just moved into his grandfather's house with his mother, Janet. His grandfather, named George, just recently passed away, and Janet inherited the house. Now, Connor has never met his grandfather for all his life, mainly because his mom never bring him to visit his grandfather or even talk about him. As far as he knows, his mom does not have a good relationship with his grandfather. From what Connor understands, his grandfather was an alcoholic and was very abusive to the point that his wife, Janet's mother, left the family when Janet was still very young. Even though Janet hates everything about her father, Connor can see that moving into the old house has lifted some of the financial burden of his family. For instance, his mom does not have to pay rent anymore, there's no mortgage to be paid, and the house is a lot larger than their previous two-bedroom apartment. The house is quite large that it has a basement, something that excites Connor, who likes to sit alone at night reading his scary comic books. Right away, Connor tells his mother that he's going to make the basement his room. Janet doesn't seem to mind. She doesn't seem to worry that her son sleeps in the dark and cold basement, and yet she herself, for whatever reason, refuses to set foot in that basement, even after Connor says that there seemed to be someone else in the room with him, watching him as he sleeps. Now, during the first couple of nights that Connor spent in the basement, he heard scratching sounds on the walls. He also saw a shadow moving behind the sheets that Connor had hung up for walls. When he tried to tell his mom about it, his mom dismissed it as another product of Connor's overactive imagination. And yet, she still refuses every time Connor asks her to come down to the basement. Connor suspects that there is something that his mom is not telling him. It is clear that there are secrets buried behind the walls of the house. Secrets that might hold answers to who his grandfather really was, why Connor's mom refuses to even talk about him, and why Connor is being haunted by this shadowy figure at night. Now, I have to admit, when I read the parts where Connor is being haunted by the shadowy figure in the basement, I thought the story is going to be like those horror books for kids or young adults. I thought that the plot is going to revolve around the haunted basement. However, once layer upon layers of answers start coming out to the surface, I realized that this book deals with a really dark subject matter. There is a twist at the climax of the book that is very disturbing, and yet it puts everything into place. So kudos to the author for being able to put a twist in the story that are both shocking and organic. The dread just spiked exponentially after the twist is revealed. For a while, there's a certain hopelessness to the fate of the characters after the reveal, but we want both Janet and Connor to survive because we have grown to care for them. They really feel like real human beings. Sure, they sometimes get frustrated with each other, but you can feel that they deeply love each other. Overall, I gave Scratches by Joshua Marsella a 4 out of 5 stars. It is a wonderful little ghost story that may seem like a typical haunted basement or haunted house story at first, but it evolves into a disturbing piece about trauma, familial relationship, and the enduring love between a mother and her son. So I do recommend everyone to check this one out. It is spooky, it is shocking, disturbing, and it's a quick read. And another thing to add, the author has just released the prequel to Scratches called Severed. I'm excited to get into that one because I heard it will delve deeper to the life of Connor's grandfather, and because it is available on Kindle Unlimited, I can just download it to my Kindle and start reading. So, that is my review of Scratches by Joshua Marsella. I had fun reading it, and I will keep on reading works by indie and self-published authors in addition to reading the mainstream ones, because it really does expand my understanding of different themes, different voices, and different styles of storytelling. So, if you have read Scratches, let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. Take care and stay safe, and I'll see you again in the next book review video.